What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour, presented by Pickswise and powered by FanDuel. I am your host, the big man on campus. We are here on Sunday, May 9th, 2021. It's Mother's Day here in the United States. I don't know if it's Mother's Day everywhere else, but it's Mother's Day here. Shout out to all the moms out there. If you don't know it's Mother's Day, shame on you. You better get going and figure things out. Make sure you call your mom. Make sure you do something today for your mother. Listen, if you live within 2 hours of your mom and you're not going to see her, you gotta exit out this show right now. Take care of your mom, because your mom had you, and she's the only reason you're here. So let's kind of break it all down. We got a couple of games to look at today. Our Sunday guest is back. It's the great Spread Astaire. Spread, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Looking forward to breaking down some NBA with you. Of course, I will be following your advice and heading over to the moms after the show.
Good.
But maybe have some NBA on the background as we're watching these games and betting the plays that we're going to come up with today.
Yeah, definitely kind of an interesting card here. Got an early game as usually do on a Sunday. Got a couple of later games as well. And again, last full week of the regular season here in the NBA. Teams, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. Teams with other teams breathing down their neck. All sorts of things going on today, which we'll get into. Hope everyone's having a good morning so far. Hope everyone's joining us and enjoying the show. We thank everybody for checking in. We're here every day, noon Eastern, breaking down the games, myself and a great NBA handicapper around the business, whether it's Whale Capper, Spread Astaire, or Ian Cameron, or Ski Profit, or Donnie Wrightside, or Martin Wise, whoever. We bring them on here. We break down the cards each day. So thanks for watching. If you like the show, make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I saw on our show yesterday, somebody commented and said, I don't know who the big guy is, but I like Whale Capper. But I subscribed. Well, thanks. So yeah, if you like the show, make sure you subscribe. Got a lot of content coming down the road here at Pickswise. All right, let's do a little recap spread of what we saw last night. Definitely an interesting evening for hoops. I had a good night. I went 2-0. One of my props canceled out. Seth Curry didn't play, so that one canceled. But as usual, Stephen Curry, I'm not sure where you can put this number. I think 6.5 is probably the number you got to throw out there. But Spread, giving us plus money on 6.5 threes, you're going to have to take that every time. There was concern. He went out at halftime with 6, and they were up big. But, Steph Curry came right out in the second half, and he's going for that scoring title. 49 points last night in 29 minutes. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, followed up after Bradley Beal's 50-point performance. We had commented, hey, I'm pretty sure Steph's aware that Beal went for 50 as they're dueling for that scoring title. Not too surprised. And this is a lot of fun here as this is a whole new territory for odds makers, putting up these huge numbers. I'm sure they must feel sick every time they put up that 6 and expect to get hammered with the unders, but it just keeps going over, right? I mean, even at 5.5, it was a good bet. Still probably a good bet at 6.5. I'm sure that they're as lost at how to deal with this brand new scoring explosion as we are here. But I think you've been doing a great job getting on the right side of it and being ahead of this trend here.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I guess, I don't know when it's too high, because it's like when you look at Steph Curry's attempts, I mean, he's throwing up 18. Let me look at the attempts here. I mean, you look over the last 10 games. I mean, the attempts are crazy. I mean, it's every game he's 17 attempts, 18 attempts. Last night 21 3-point attempts. You look at over the last 5 games, he's had 17 or more attempts 4 times. And you even look at the 13 attempt game, he had 6 threes. Yeah. So it's just hard. I mean, and he's only playing 29, 30 minutes. I mean, a lot of these games have been blowouts. They win last night by what, 39? So, it's impressive. I mean, you look at the last 2 Saturdays for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've lost by 52 and 39. Have they quit? I think it's pretty clear. Couple other things of note last night. Wild game again between the Wizards and Pacers. Really nice win for Washington. Game went to overtime, but they didn't really need it. I mean, the game still went over. Or no, it didn't go over. Wow. So it only got 2. Yeah, it would have went over even without overtime. So Keep in mind, I don't know if you can set these totals high enough. Beal obviously had a 50-point night, but you look at Russell Westbrook. I mean, you look at his points, rebounds, and assists last night spread. Russell Westbrook was at 51.5, blew it out of the water, 33, 19, and 15. That's another number you just can't put too high right now. That points, rebounds, and assists. The triple-double for Russell Westbrook every game is like minus 350. Incredible.
Yeah, and it should be. It's amazing what he's doing now. And it's so funny at the beginning of the season, right? We thought that maybe Houston had got the better of that trade, but there's no way at this point of the season Westbrook stepped up. I mean, and not only did he put up those stats, right? He had the game-winning block, affecting the game in a positive manner. I think that puts Washington at 15-4 over their last 19 games. They are the proverbial team that no one wants to play going into the playoffs.
No, I don't want to play if I'm right now in the East or West. I don't want to play Washington. I don't want to play Golden State with how good Steph has been. Nice win last night for Brooklyn. Shout out to our guest, Whale Capper, who kind of grabbed that one. Really nice fourth quarter for Brooklyn. Only allowed the Nuggets to score 15 points en route to a 125-119 victory. Just a kind of a tough spot. Denver they just don't have the firepower without a guy like Jamal Murray. Now, Jokic and Michael Porter were terrific, but outside of a random 19-point night from Facundo Campazzo, they just don't get enough scoring. I mean, when you have guys like Marcus Howard and JaMychal Green, those are kind of your bell cows outside of Porter and Jokic. They just don't have enough bodies to beat a team like the Nets, and that was pretty evident in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I thought they had their opportunities. Durant played some great defense on Jokic there, and that's something that I think that we're missing going into the playoffs maybe with this team. The defensive versatility for Durant to be able to check a five like that, and the way he was doing it towards the end of the game, Jokic was frustrated, right? I mean, we saw him get that technical foul there at the end. I watched the replay. I thought that was – and I was on the Nuggets, so I'm with Jokic there. I'm hoping he gets that foul, but I'm watching the replay, and those weren't fouls. He played fantastic. You got to give him credit, and this is why when we talk about the Nets as a wild card, even watching those results, losing to the Bucks, losing to the Sixers, sometimes we still think the Nets are the favorite in the East, and it's because of their ability to do things like Kevin Durant did last night. So I was really impressed with that performance by the Nets.
Yeah, I had the over in this game. It ended up being a pretty easy winner, but I mean, even with a 15-point quarter out of the Nuggets, it still flew over the total. This number was too low. I didn't understand it at all. I mean, I think, and this is sometimes when you have games like this, you just have guys like Jokic, like Durant, like Kyrie, just elite shot makers. Both offenses are efficient. It's not always about pace. Okay, remember that because sometimes the pace is there and you just don't have very efficient teams. But sometimes efficiency is just what you want. And you have Brooklyn at 1 and you have Denver at 5th. Efficiency sells. We saw it with Milwaukee and Brooklyn. When you have efficient teams, you're generally going to get high-scoring games. It's just that simple. A couple other nice wins for who else had some wins last night? Memphis had a nice win. Needed a big win after a weird loss against the Pistons. Sixers win and cover. They kind of rout the Pistons. Weird injury news. Joel Embiid, you heard info he wasn't going to play. Mm-hmm. He's out there and playing. And that was the undoing for the Pistons. And a nice win for the Trailblazers. Nice defensive effort for them. Spurs continue to struggle to score. That's been kind of an issue for them all season. Let's get into today's action. As always, we welcome you in, and we thank you for watching. If you have a comment or question, you want to make your voice heard, jump in the chat box. We have a small but boisterous at times chat box. Let's get into it. We'll start it out 1:15. We got about an hour till this game starts. 1:15 Eastern. The Boston Celtics hosting the Miami Heat. How about this? Heat a 1-point favorite. Total is 222.5 at FanDuel. You look at this game. Heat playing some good basketball. They've won 7 of 10. Tyler Hero back. Goran Dragic back. A bench is a little bit more useful now. You have a bench that you can kind of throw out there and depend on a little bit. You don't need Jimmy Butler to go off totally. You don't need Bam Adebayo to go off totally. You're getting more contribution. So that's helpful for a Heat team that desperately need it. Offenses looked better. Everything's really looked better. You're getting good efforts off the bench from, even a guy like Trevor Ariza or Kendrick Nunn, who both have started, but you can get them off the bench as well. A small rotation really for the Heat, but we always know the defense is going to be there with this group. One of the best in the NBA, defensive efficiency at 6th. And I think to me, look, that's the difference in this game. Jaylen Brown out, Jason Tatum off a poor game. I just don't think right now, to me, I really want to step in front of the Miami Heat, especially with this offense, as good as their defense is. I think a lot of people look at this and say, wow, Boston's an underdog at home, da-da-da-da-da. I know you kind of pointed out to me you like a total in this game. Unders in these kind of spots usually come in that kind of early Sunday game. It's the only one on the card. They usually are low scoring. Do you like the under here, Spread? Is that kind of what you're looking at?
I do. I mean, we like Sunday morning unders in January, right? Now we have a game that should have playoff intensity, and that's going to be something we're dealing with, and you'll be, dealing with this last week of the season. We are going to get games that rival playoff intensity, like this game we're getting between Boston Celtics, and we'll get games that look like G League or Summer League games, and when we're watching the Thunder play, and when we break those down later, right? So it's really going to be a mixed bag this week. I'm going to be targeting unders in these playoff style games. And this is my first one. I get the double whammy of it being the early start, which we always like unders in those, and the fact that Miami's really coming together defensively right now. I think that's going to cause problems for Boston as they lose their, another option here, and Jaylen Brown sitting out. Now, they do have some good news. Robert Williams is back. That should definitely be helpful. And on the Miami side, Andre Iguodala returns to the lineup. And I think that Iguodala helps the under for me as well, being a very good defender, all right on offense. Hasn't been necessarily the knockdown three-point shooter he was in Golden State. But I definitely like the under here. And on the side, I think that this actually – I'm surprised that Miami's not laying 2 or 3 here. I had the number at Miami -3, maybe because I weight pretty heavily towards the last 10, and Miami's just playing much better basketball as of late. Boston, boy, coming off that really tough loss against Chicago in a game that they definitely needed. So I trust Miami right now more to get it done, and I definitely like the under as my favorite play on this game.
Yeah, I'm definitely agreeing with you on the under. I like Miami a little bit as well. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm actually going to play Jimmy Butler points and rebounds over 28.5. I think the number is just a little too low. Jimmy Butler has been on fire recently. All I need him to do is give me his average. 22 and 7. That'll give us a winner here. You look at recently, he's played really well. I mean, he's given you, you look at the last 5 games, he's given you 25 or more in 3 of those last 5. This is always a guy that grabs 6 to 8 boards a game. No Jaylen Brown today. I think he's going to have a pretty favorable matchup. You look at the first time he played against Boston, had 26 points, did a nice job, had 8 boards in that game. Look, if you give me that today, we'll blow this prop out of the water. I think 28.5 is just a little too low for points and rebounds. I expect a Jimmy Butler bell cow game. As you said, playoff type atmosphere, big time players like Jimmy Butler come to play in games like this. This is a Miami offense that's starting to get going. This is a Boston defense that I think we've kind of talked about all year. I don't think they're as good as kind of let on. You look at the last 3 games, this team has really struggled. They're giving up 111 points a game this year. I look at Jimmy Butler, and I expect a pretty big day out of him. And look, frankly, I don't need that big a day. I think Jimmy Butler could get to 30 himself. He's played that good recently. So points, rebounds over 28.5, I'm in.
Yeah, I like that look. Great look there.
I need money to Jimmy Butler over 21.5 points. Yeah, I agree. At least I hope it comes in because that's what I have here. But I was a little surprised by this points and rebounds. I'll gladly be on it here. All right. But I do like your under as well. I would love to go back over the last, and really look at it as an historical trend. The last 10 years, let's just say. And look, I'm not a big 10-year trend kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know over the years, Sunday early game unders, what that is. It's got to be highly profitable. So I don't know if you have anything on that recently.
I don't have the official numbers, but it makes sense. And sometimes we don't like going back 10 years because it's like, well, it's not the same team. But it's the same situation. We have guys that are used to playing at 7 p.m. Eastern. They
Yep.
usually get up, they do morning shoot around at this time, head back to the hotel, take a nap because of the weird flight schedules and the lifestyle that they leave, and then they usually get up at 7. And when you throw them out of their routine, simple things, the shooting goes, and that's where we see, the effort can still be there, but the legs aren't there, the shots don't fall, and those unders come in. So let's hope it goes that way for me this morning.
It's funny, when I was at the casino, I was down at Philly Live, FanDuel Casino down in South Philly over the March Madness time. And I was there a couple of different Sundays in a row, Spread. And I remember walking in, it'd be about 12:30. People would start kind of running in, and there were groups of kids down there. Every one of them was betting the over in the NBA game, the first game. And I remember seeing that. And I remember the game, it was Suns Hornets. The over-under was like 220. They were loving it. They're like, over, it's only 220. Yeah. And they were all over it. I just went in, quickly just bet the under. It flew under.
Yeah.
And the NBA gambler loves overs. So anytime you're on an over, you're going to be on generally the sharp side here. So Sam Calmer says 105-103 Celtics. Yeah, I think Spread would love that one.
Definitely.
All right, let's move on to the next game here. Knicks headed on the road to take on the Clippers. Clippers laying 7.5, total 215. I picked on the Knicks the other night, Spread. I bet against them.
Nice.
With the Suns. I thought it just didn't make sense. I thought the betting public was looking at it and saying, wow, the hot Knicks are getting 8 or 7 or whatever they were getting. I got to play them here. When I look at this game, I'm starting to notice something, and that's the fact that I think you look at this game, I think the opposite way that you look at the game we just talked about. I think this total is just almost too low, and that everyone's saying this is going to be 105, 102, and I'm going to play under. But both these teams have shot the 3-ball well. I know both these teams are good defensively. But we just talked about it. Sometimes it doesn't matter how good a team is defensively. If a team can just make shots, which the LA Clippers can, crazy things happen. And that is something that the Clippers do. They make shots. They are second only very slightly to Brooklyn. If the Clippers have a good offensive day today, they will be the best offensive team efficiency-wise in the NBA. It's a tough game. I lean Clippers. I lean over. I won't be playing it. It is one of those prime time, should be a great game. But I'll continue to kind of almost pick on the Knicks. I think the books are goading you into taking the Knicks right now. I think Sam's point makes a lot of sense. Knicks are running out of gas. They might be. And at the end of the day, Spread, talent wins. You've got people like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, against all due respect, Elfrid Payton and guys like that. Sometimes talent wins out. I give Julius Randle a lot of credit. He's been terrific. Thibodeau's been great this season. But at the end of the day, this has been a Knicks team that have come out quick and fall to the wayside late in games against good teams. I almost want to take the Clippers here. I think there are better bets on the board. It won't be a best bet for me. You like anything here?
I'm with you on the Clippers here. Let's look at this Knicks road trip. They went to Houston, then Memphis, then Denver, then Phoenix. Then they spent the night in Los Angeles, which, as we all know, can be a lot of fun here. Sunday morning in Los Angeles. Give me the home team. Give me the Clippers here. I'm same thing. I agree with Sam. Knicks are running out of gas. This has been an absolutely tough road team. Go ahead, Books. Let's downgrade them. Let's have them run bad on this trip because I think that they're better than they're showing right now. It's the end of a long season. Thibodeau's been a foot on the gas, pedal to the metal the whole way here, and not surprising that they're kind of running out of steam here. But that doesn't preclude them from getting back home and still making some noise once these playoffs start. But for today, I'm on the Clippers as well. I think it's a terrible situation spot for the Knicks.
Yeah, you look at the NBA spread from a seeding standpoint. Knicks with a big couple of opportunities here. If the Knicks kind of fall by the wayside, they can be jumped by the Miami Heat in 6th. Mm-hmm. So, again, I don't know that it means a whole lot because, at the end of the day, the Knicks, I would much rather play the Hawks as opposed to the Bucks. So, playoff positioning means some stuff here. Heat can jump up. So, there's some jockeying going on here. Every game is important. Again, Knicks have been very good against the number, though. And that's one thing that gives me pause here. Sometimes a team is just good against the number. And the Knicks are very good defensively, but I've learned a long time ago, sometimes talent just wins out in games like this. I won't be betting this game, but we go over every game. I definitely kind of agree with spread here. Plus, again, I know right now with coronavirus and stuff, you're not going out and stuff. And I don't – maybe you know this. I guess I got to do some research on this. What is the protocol for these teams? They're not allowed to leave the hotel. Is that correct?
I think at this point they are, especially the players that have been vaccinated. Now, the interesting thing is we don't know who has taken the vaccine and who hasn't.
Yeah.
But I've read reports that more than 60% of the league is already vaccinated. So I'm assuming for me, it's back to normal. I'm assuming these guys are going out and having a good time, and even if they're not at the nightclubs, they're on their phone using these apps and finding some friendship and some companionship in the Los Angeles
as
evening.
we know, the great thing about this day and age, if you're an NBA player, it is not hard to get a woman to come over.
Yeah.
All you got to do is go on Instagram. You got chicks that just line up to come over. So,
yep.
And this is a Knick group that is young, right? They're out in LA. LA is the place you want to be, man.
Yep.
Good weather. It's nice. Yeah. So it's definitely a touchy spot. Clippers seem kind of like a team on a mission right now. I think they will. I think it's them and the Suns, the teams in the West that you want to have your eye on. Obviously, I don't think I'm telling anyone anything. All right, next one. Dallas at Cleveland. This game is locked. Something's going on here. Is Luka Doncic not going to play tonight? I feel like that would make some sense here, even though they are not all in a back-to-back. They'll beat the Clippers easily. They beat the the Cleveland Cavaliers easy the other night. What was that score? 110-90. Beat them up. I've kind of given up on Dallas games just because Rick Carlisle seems really never interested in playing players. He told me the other night with a Doncic prop. He sat Doncic for like 10 to 15 minutes in the second half. Now the game's locked. Something's going on here. So it's hard to really give a shot. I will continue to say that Colin Sexton props continue to be valuable. Colin Sexton is really doing it all right now for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They just don't have a ton of capable options. So when you're looking at props, Colin Sexton points, rebounds, and assists continue to generally be pretty good bets. He's, again, kind of the bell cow for them. You look at the last time these two teams played the other night, he had 35 points, rebounds, assists. Tonight it's only 33.5. You have to figure you're going to have plenty of garbage time. Could be a decent look, maybe if you're just surrounding yourself with some Colin Sexton props right now.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas won by 20 in the last game, and I see no reason to see why this trend doesn't continue here. We've talked about zigzagging before. I am not going to zigzag here. It's got to be Dallas or no play.
10.5 on a number spread.
Yeah, I'm seeing 11 on Bookmaker, and I can't see Cleveland taking any money, and rightfully so. When Larry Nance left this lineup, they lost the inability to defend pretty much altogether. They're putting way too much on the shoulders of Jared Allen. Okoro's going to be good. He's not there yet, and we know this backcourt has problems staying in front of people. You made a great point about Sexton. There's no reason not to load up tonight because, once again, Darius Garland is out. Makes the team just too easy to scheme for. You stop Sexton, you slow him down, you stop the whole team here. Kevin Love will be back, but as much as he'll provide on offense, they lose that much on defense. It's got to be Dallas or no play here.
Yeah, and again, barring Colin Sexton didn't play well against the Trailblazers 2 games ago, but other than that, I mean, Colin Sexton has been on fire. You know what? I'm going to play that. I'm going to play points, rebounds, and assists over 33.5 with Colin Sexton. I played his rebound prop the other night. I'm going to continue it. He's actually been pretty good grabbing boards. He involves his teammates, and he's dropping 25 every game. So, again, he is the only guy right now. We have to figure again. This is going to be a second unit type game for Dallas probably late. So I'm going to keep rocking with some Sexton props here, and I'm going to go with that. As I said, the other night, 27 and 4-4 for Sexton. So that would have gotten over this number. But yeah, other than that, I'm not on it. Next one. This is a toilet bowl matchup. Timberwolves on the road at Orlando. T-Wolves laying 7.5, total 229.5. As we know, whether it's the Magic or the Timberwolves, neither of these teams are going to the playoffs. It's really about playing out the string. And what it also is about, Spread, is giving young guys some run, okay? That's what these teams are going to do. Both these teams are young. Both these teams are inexperienced. So expect to see Jared Vanderbilt and Naz Reid and Anthony Edwards and, Cole Anthony and all these young guys, which isn't a bad thing because those guys have played all year. But from a betting standpoint, it's hard to have interest in this game. For as bad as the Timberwolves are defensively, it's hard to lay a significant number with them. They're not a favorite very often, and let's just be frank, Spread, I'm not running to the window to lay 7.5 points with Minnesota. The Orlando Magic are pesky. They're not good, but they're pesky. This is not a team in Minnesota that lay points very often.
Yeah, I'm completely with you here. I just crossed this game off. I tried a couple different ways to look for some angles here, and I really just had no interest overall. I think they set the line perfectly. 7.5 is just too high for me to want to lay it, but not enough for me to want to take the points with an Orlando team that will be missing Wendell Carter Jr. tonight. I think that's a big loss. Of course, we'll see some Mo Bamba minutes in there, which is great for their development, but not necessarily great for this team winning right now. I really don't see any reason to get involved with this game. If other people have them, more power to you. I just didn't find one, and I'm happy to pass on it.
Yeah, it's just not a real good option to me. It's a game that, keep in mind, Minnesota's been a favorite 8 times this year. They're 4-4 against the spread. So, the Magic are
a lot of those were -1s and -2s, though.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. They have not been a favorite and again, keep in mind, Orlando's not good, but they try. This is not Oklahoma City or Houston or Cleveland. Orlando's definitely the best of those 4. Like
I would agree.
For sure. I would we don't skip over any game. We always talk about them all, but this would be a game from a betting standpoint I would be skipping. Next one, New Orleans headed on the road to take on Charlotte. Charlotte laying 4, total 223. Let's take a look at the pecking order here in the East and West conferences here with both these teams. Hornets are in the 8th spot. They're holding off the Wizards, as we know. They're 1.5 games up, though, so they're solidly in, but every game is important. You're looking for the Pelicans. Not a real good time to not have people like Zion Williamson or Brandon Ingram. Currently, the Pelicans are not in a playoff spot. They're not even in a play-in game at this point. They need every win, okay? It's that simple. Pelicans are struggling, okay? They're playing in games where they have to play guys that really shouldn't be out there right now. This is a bad defensive team. We've talked about that many times. It's one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. And it's one of the reasons I like their overs because they are a pretty good offensive team. They're top 10 in offensive efficiency. They play with a nice pace, and they don't defend worth a lick. They allow one of the highest three-point percentages in the NBA. And that's one of the reasons the New Orleans Pelicans are 40-27 to the over this season. If you've bet overs with them, you're hitting 60% of them. That's a great clip to hit in the NBA. When you look at Charlotte, I talked about them the other night as well. Spread, you're from Sacramento. You know how bad the Kings defense is.
It's the worst.
Charlotte, though, from a 2-point variety defensively, is the worst team in the NBA. Charlotte has the worst 2-point defense. They are dreadful. And what that means is in the half court, they are not defending. A lot of back doors, a lot of pick and roll, a lot of just isolation getting the best.
Yeah. And that comes from the fact that their opponent rim percentage is ridiculously high, and that's what happens when you have Cody Zeller, the corpse of Bismack Biyombo, and PJ Washington as your rim protectors. So it's so obvious what this team needs going into the offseason.
Yeah, and when you look at the Pelicans, I mean, they don't have their full complement of players. I thought they were pretty good the other night, though, against Philadelphia. Hernan Gomez played well. James Johnson played well. And then you got guys like Jackson Hayes who, look, shout out to Jackson Hayes because he had some great games at Texas. I didn't know how good of an offensive player he was, but he was really good. Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball kind of led the charge. This is a bad roster with these guys currently, but I think one thing is noticeable. whether it's Lonzo or LaMelo, they're going to one-up each other. They're going to want to go fast. This is what these two are going to want to do. And judging by both defenses, I see a total here at 223. Just seems a little low to me. I know that there's not a ton of talent on the Pelicans, but I think there's enough. I don't like Charlotte's defense. And with PJ Washington back, that helps a Hornets team here that needs the offense as well. I think these two teams just go back and forth. I think this is like a 118, 115 type of game.
Yeah, I think this is actually a tough game for me to get involved with here. I'm really disappointed in the coaching job that Stan Van Gundy did. If you look at these two rosters, how the Pelicans have the 30-37 record and the Hornets have 33-34. So give credit to Charlotte's coach, and let's go ahead and shame Stan Van Gundy a little more for that. If I were to get involved in a side, I mean, I guess I would take the points here because I don't trust Charlotte laying it. But I don't know. How do you think this offense looks without Zion in? Because he's probably out for the year now too, right?
Yeah, I mean, this offense without those guys is not good. Now, they should get Nickeil Alexander-Walker back, which is big. He's probable tonight. Steven Adams is questionable. Steven Adams could be a problem tonight for Charlotte. Steven Adams isn't the best player in the world, but he's tough. He plays hard, and he's good around the rim. So I think that only helps the over here. But, yeah, without Zion and look, this is what usually happens to the Pelicans. They lose a player or two, and they're not good enough defensively to really allow themselves to do much more. So, I don't like the Pelicans. I haven't liked the Pelicans, and I don't think I ever will like the Pelicans.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in here. I don't want to lay points with the Charlotte Hornets team either. I mean, I guess if I had to, I would grab the points, but this is definitely not a game I put on my board. And like I said, the over seems to make so much sense, but I'm so worried about the Pelicans' ability to generate offense with no Zion and no Ingram in the game here. So, if you want me to give a lean, I'll lean towards the Pelicans, but, full transparency, I will not be putting 1 cent on the Pelicans.
Somebody says, Jeff looks like Babe Ruth. Okay, let's take a look. What do you think, Spread? Do I look like Babe Ruth? There's a picture of him.
Yeah, you're getting there. Hopefully you'll be hitting like him too.
That's actually pretty funny that guy's. I've actually heard that before, though. Someone has told me I look like Babe Ruth. Well, I don't mind that. Yeah, Babe was obviously a legend.
Yeah.
Hopefully I hit like him today. That's a good point. Maybe I'll go 3 for 3. I'm gonna go with the over in this game, 223. I've kind of picked out these overs. I've had some success. I had some success last night. I'll take two teams. And look, how fun is this going to be, brother against brother? We haven't seen this yet, I don't think. So should be fun. I
think they played one other game. They played one time before already.
Did they? Okay. Yeah. We had to figure LeVar will be there.
Yeah.
What's LeVar up to nowadays?
He's been real quiet. So I haven't heard much from him.
I've said before, you know what LeVar should do for a living, Spread? He should go basically speak to prisons and things like that about how to be a good father. I think he would do a lot of good. I think he's a great dad, man. I don't think he gets enough credit. People knock him a lot, but he's a great dad. Julian says, "Holy hell, you look like Babe Ruth." The Albanian Babe Ruth. Yeah, well, no problem with that. Shout out to Babe Ruth. He was from Baltimore, not too far from where I am now. All right, next one. Couple of games left. Chicago at Detroit. Chicago laying 9.5. Total 218.5. As we know with Detroit, last night just could not get the better of the Sixers, even with no Seth Curry. It didn't really matter. There were some times where the Pistons might have cut it to 10, but if you watch the game from the start, they went down 12 too early. I don't think the game was ever within 10. It may have been 8 at one point, but it really didn't matter. Jeremy Grant came back, played well. Plumlee came back, played well. Sadiq Bey played well. You just didn't get much. Corey Joseph gives you nothing. Wayne Ellington gives you nothing. You're really having to go to your bench, and you're having to really depend on young guys. Sekou Doumbouya, Killian Hayes, Frank Jackson. This is a roster that tries. We've talked about their ability to cover. And, frankly, tonight I don't hate them, but the Bulls with Levine look like a different offense. I don't really have much in this game. Not really keen on laying 9.5 at the Bulls, to be real frank. And Detroit does play tough. But last night, they just played a much better team than them. This is another game, didn't have much on.
Yeah, so Detroit is one of these games that I will be waiting to see this news here. Right now, we got Plumlee, Joseph, Ellington, and Jeremy Grant all doubtful. Hamidou
Yikes.
Diallo is questionable as long as Josh Jackson. If all those guys were to be in, I'll take the points here. I think Detroit's done a good job of keeping it close and just losing a bunch of games. But they're like we talked about with Orlando, we can count on the effort every night. They're just not that talented here. But if you give them a little boost, you add in especially Jeremy Grant. Wayne Ellington's a great shooter. Corey Joseph is a player that I did not like here in Sacramento, but seems to be fitting in really well with Detroit. And Plumlee's that annoying guy that actually just helps you win. Even if he's not that enjoyable to watch while doing it. So if I wait, I'll keep an eye on this as the day goes on, over with the mom, I'll sneak a look at the phone here or there. And before this tips, I want to get the status on these players. If they're all in, I'll go ahead and take a stab with Detroit. I'll grab the 9 points. I don't think they'll move the line that much. And then if they're out, I can just stay away from this game.
Keep in mind, you heard it here first. Next year, the Pistons will push to be in the playoffs. You heard it here first. This team is I think they're getting there. I know they're bad. I know they're undervalued. Keep this in mind, Spread. They do not have a star on this team. They're very young. They're going to have another big-time player coming in this year, a top 3 pick likely. So whether it's Jalen Suggs, whether it's Cade Cunningham, whether it's Evan Mobley, this team is only getting better. Spread, if I asked you where they are in opponent point per game, where would you say? Would you say they're towards the bottom?
In the amount of points they give up to their opponents?
Yeah.
And just raw points, I would say they're probably 14th in the league just because they run a slow pace.
10th in the NBA in points per game allowed. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're there. They have a good coach. They just have to get some experience under their belt.
And they just need to get some more players here, right? They just need to add to this lineup here. They've done a good job in the front court. We kind of laughed at Plumlee and Grant, but they've been doing great here. Killian Hayes, obviously, that is going to be the mark of Troy Weaver's tenure so far. He took a big risk there with that pick. If he turns out to be good, they'll be pretty good. I haven't really been that impressed with what I've seen so far. I think they're still going to be searching, but the guy did great. He also picked up Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart. So not a bad draft. If he continues to draft well, I like the way he's putting this team together. And Dwayne Casey may have some shortcomings when we're talking about scheming in a 7-game playoff series, but that's not what he's here for. He's here to develop these young players and, like you said, get them ready for the playoffs. And I don't even really think that's that crazy of a hot take. We can even sit here and look at some teams that we might expect to drop out of the standings, and Detroit will be right there to take their place, if not in the play-in, but in the playoffs.
They need to hope they get a top 2 pick because I think Cade Cunningham, particularly Evan Mobley, I think would be terrific on this team. Put him next to Isaiah Stewart and Sadiq Bey. Put him in the middle, be that true center. You got Plumlee coming off the bench. This team's going to be a tough defensive group going forward. All right, next one. Another bad matchup. Sacramento hosting the terrible Thunder. Sacramento laying 9.5, total 223.5. Any word on De'Aaron Fox when he'll be back?
So Fox and Barnes are questionable. That's why this number's so high. Dort's doubtful. If I get news that Fox and Barnes are playing and Dort's not, I'll take the Kings here.
I think what this line is telling you is that they're going to play.
I think they are too.
And without Dort, I think it's been pretty clear. Dort is the difference between the Thunder losing by 10 to 15 or 25 to 30.
Exactly. That's the exact way I'm handicapping it. It's so easy for me. Dort's out, I'll fade the Thunder.
Yeah. I think 9.5 is probably going to be the best number you're going to get on this game.
Yeah.
I'd have to figure it goes up from here. The Thunder are so inept. I mean, so inept. Let me ask you, what about the Kings with how the offense has definitely struggled a little bit, but if you can get Fox and Barnes back, 116.5 has to look pretty helpful here. You've got to figure they're going to get into the 120s against this group. The Thunder have the worst roster in the NBA, I at least to me. At least the Houston has like Christian Wood and John Wall. Like, this roster is dog shit.
It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a bunch of G League players. I like Dort too. He's going to be a contributor, right? But he's that fourth or fifth guy. He's not.
But Dort's not, and he's not an offensive threat really either.
No, not at all.
So this team blows. I mean, blows. And for whatever reason, they're continuing to accumulate draft picks. Because again, I mean, you got to try to maybe retain some of these players long term. So yeah, pass for me. Lean Kings though. We just need that good info on Fox and Barnes. If you can just give me Fox, obviously that's going to make a difference. Final game, and it's a good one. Suns at Lakers. Suns laying 7.5. Total 216. I tried to warn Ian Cameron the other night. I thought giving the Lakers 8.5 points against Portland was probably the good play there. Portland does not cover those kind of numbers. They're not good enough defensively. However, the Phoenix Suns are good enough defensively. They're very good defensively. And without LeBron James and without Dennis Schroeder, this offense is not good. I think without those two, I want to say 102 points a game is what the Lakers are basically committing. They just don't give very much. Without it, outside of Anthony Davis, there's just not a ton of threats on this team. And you're playing a very good Suns team with an eye on the prize. They want that 1 seed. They're 1.5 games back. This is a Laker team that continue to free fall. Luckily, they're not going to not make the playoffs, but this group is free falling. This could be a preview of the first round of the playoffs with the Suns and the Lakers. The difference in this game is defensively. Portland shouldn't be laying that kind of number. I don't have any problem laying it with the Suns. But what do you like here?
I'm with you. I like the Suns here. I only wish that we did this show last night so we could give it out at -6 and not 7.5. Because I was looking at all these numbers last night, kind of doing, some pre-prep before this morning's prep for the show. And I was thinking is going to be my best bet. At 7.5, I don't like it as much, but there's no way I'm taking Los Angeles here. And you made the points, perfectly here. With the with the Portland Trail Blazers, you didn't want to lay it because they can't get the stops to completely shut a team down. This Phoenix team is completely different. And if you don't think that Chris Paul is going to have these guys ready to go and locked in for all 48 minutes, I mean, I don't know what league you've been watching. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity for Phoenix. Like you said, it's probably the most likely 2-7 matchup here. I mean, if I were to guess, you would say, who do you think is going to play in that 2-7 matchup? I think you're going to get Phoenix versus LA. I think that fits in here as well. I think they're going to be extra motivated to go ahead and send a message here. I like the Phoenix Suns on the road as well. I just wish we could have got it at 6 and not the 7.5.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons is I'm not as in love with it. I think long term, if you just bet bad numbers, you're going to lose in the NBA. We kind of talked about that a little bit yesterday with Whale Capper. All right, let's wrap up at least the basketball talk here on the show with some best bets. I'm going to throw out a few. Coming off a good night, I've had good weekends recently. Good Friday, good Saturday. So let's keep it up. I got 3. This game is about to start here in about a half hour. I got Jimmy Butler. Points, rebounds over 28.5. I also like Colin Sexton, points, rebounds, and assists over 33.5. He is doing it all right now. I think Dallas, that's plenty of garbage time for Sexton to help out his numbers. And I also like Hornets, Pelicans over 223. Spread Astaire, what do you got going today?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the first game we talked about, and I'm going to go with that under. That's my favorite play today, under 222. What a great way to get Mother's Day started off by watching guys miss baskets and play slow here. So I'm hoping that we get a slog fest, some playoff intense basketball, good defense from both sides. I'm taking under 222 in the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics.
Love it. By the way, I saw the Kentucky Derby horse winner, Medina Spirit, tested positive for elevated levels of betamethasone. Not ideal. But again, Does anyone actually believe that's the first case of Bob Baffert shooting up horses? I mean, come on. I feel like every trainer does that in horse racing. Also, one other thing, Spread, did you hear about that random piece of like Chinese rocket or whatever that was like flying through the atmosphere? Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, so China, I guess, tested some rockets and stuff, and something like broke apart. And there was something, it was like 22 tons up in space that was coming to Earth, and they had no idea where it was going to land. They could have landed anywhere. New York, the ocean, wherever. And they didn't know when and where it was going to land. And it landed last night into the ocean. Luckily.
Oh, all right. I'll take that.
Off the Maldives out in the Pacific. So, yeah, it ended up working out. Thank God. But you know where it should have landed? On that freaking lab that released the coronavirus. Wouldn't that have been justice?
Yeah.
All right, that's that for us. We thank you for watching. Go out and take care. Get a gift for your mom. Thank your mom for today. It's Mother's Day. Make sure you call at least. Be a good son or daughter. I'm the big man on campus. He's Spread Astaire. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place, 12 o'clock Eastern, here on Pickswise, presented by FanDuel. Blackjack Fletcher will join us. Blackjack's done a nice job recently and hit some of his picks here. As we said, we're back Monday for the final week of the NBA regular season. Then it's playoff basketball. Exciting times to be alive. Spread, as always, let us know where you're at, where we can find you, and what you have going on.
Yeah, just head over to @Spread Astaire. Obviously, I'm doing this show with you and hopping on some sports grid here and there. And, of course, the NBA contributor for RunPureBets.com. So head over to @Spread Astaire, and you can catch my page and see what I got going on.
Yeah, I just put Spread's Twitter account in the chat box. Make sure you give Spread a follow. Always doling out great NBA information. Spread, always good talking to you on a Sunday. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Happy Mother's Day. Go enjoy.
Yeah, appreciate it. Same to you. We will see you all tomorrow. We'll see Spread next week. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Good luck with all your plays today in the NBA.